picture this. Minus 45 degrees Celsius. A truck stop in northern Canada. Rows of semi-trucks parked in the darkness. And inside every single cab, a driver is choosing to stay. Not trapped. Not desperate. Choosing. There's a warm hotel across the street. They have the money. They have the time. Nobody's stopping them. But they don't move. Most people assume it's about money or desperation. But that's wrong. The real reason is far more complicated. And far more surprising. A standard long-haul rig is 25 to 30 meters long. Hotel parking lots can't fit it. That's the first problem. The second is the cargo. 40,000 pounds of freight. The driver is personally responsible for every ounce. Leaving it unattended voids insurance. Breaks contracts. He can't just walk away. But even if those problems didn't exist, most experienced drivers still wouldn't go. Because something inside that cab at minus 45 is about to change everything. Hi viewers, here's my question for you. If you were forced to sleep in a freezing metal box tonight, what would scare you most? Drop it in the comments. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. Because what happens next is something most people have never even considered. Steel conducts heat 400 times faster than wood. At minus 45, a truck cab reaches outside temperature in under 45 minutes. That's not discomfort. That's a ticking clock. Running the engine seems like the answer. Heat. Survival. Problem solved. But Canadian law disagrees. Anti-idling regulations mean fines up to $25,000. Running the engine all night costs $30 to $50 in diesel. Multiply that by 300 nights a year. That's $15,000 just to stay warm. Just to survive the season. So drivers faced something that seemed impossible. A metal box losing heat faster than anything on the road. Laws that make the obvious solution illegal. And the need to stay alive through a Canadian winter. But engineers didn't accept impossible. They built something. Inside the frame of almost every modern long-haul truck sits a device about the size of a shoebox. It has its own fuel line connected directly to the diesel tank. It has its own ignition system, its own thermostat. It runs completely independent from the main engine. Most people drive past these trucks every single day and have absolutely no idea this technology even exists. It's called a diesel bunk heater. Brands like Webasto and Eberspacher have been perfecting it for decades. They started with military vehicles, aircraft in extreme conditions. Now they're standard equipment on any serious cold weather operation. Here's how it works. The device pulls diesel directly from the truck's fuel tank. It ignites it in a contained combustion chamber. That heat transfers through a network of ducts and vents throughout the cab. The entire system operates independently. The main engine stays off. No idling violations. No anti-idling fines. The cab stays warm while the driver sleeps. But the bunk heater is just the beginning. Some trucks carry something far more advanced. Something that transforms the entire cab into a self-sufficient living space even at minus 45. It's called an APU, an auxiliary power unit. The name doesn't do it justice. Imagine a complete second engine mounted to the truck frame. It has its own fuel supply, its own cooling system, its own electrical output. It operates independently from the main engine, and it can power virtually everything inside the cab simultaneously. Heating, lights, electronics, refrigeration. The cab becomes its own ecosystem. The driver isn't just surviving, he's living. But here's the question nobody ever asks. What happens when it fails? It's 3 in the morning. The truck sits at a rest stop in northern Alberta. Outside it's minus 38 degrees. The nearest truck stop is 40 miles away. The nearest town is unreachable without moving the rig. The driver wakes up cold. He checks the heater panel. Nothing. Dead. He checks the APU. Also dead. Both systems have failed at the same time. The cab temperature is already dropping at roughly 1 degree per minute in this kind of cold. Within 20 minutes, the inside temperature hits minus 15. Within an hour, worse. This isn't theoretical. Every experienced driver knows one rule above all others. Never leave the cab in extreme cold without a plan to get back in. Because outside, Even for just 5 minutes, the cold does not negotiate. This is where preparation separates the professionals from the rest. And what drivers do before winter even arrives is the difference between life and a disaster nobody talks about. Every experienced cold weather driver runs through the same checklist months in advance. They don't wait for the cold to hit. They prepare before the first freeze. The first thing is the fuel itself. At minus 20 degrees Celsius, diesel fuel begins to gel. Wax crystals form inside untreated fuel. They block fuel filters. They block fuel lines. The engine dies. The bunk heater dies. Everything stops at the same moment. The solution is an anti-gel additive poured directly into the tank before temperatures drop. Every serious driver carries some. Costs next to nothing. Saves everything. The second is the batteries. Cold cuts battery capacity in half. At minus 40, a standard truck battery delivers less than 40% of its rated power. A truck running a full APU system with cabin electronics overnight needs 8 batteries. Double the standard setup. Just to make it through a single night without the system shutting down. That's 4 batteries dedicated to heat and survival. 4 dedicated to everything else. The third are the tires. Tire pressure drops by 1 psi for every 6 degrees of temperature decrease. At minus 40, an unmonitored tire can lose 15 psi without the driver even knowing. An underinflated tire on an icy highway at speed isn't a maintenance issue. It's a catastrophe waiting to happen. And the fourth thing is something as simple as a curtain. Thermal insulated curtains hung between the cab and the sleeper reduce heat loss by up to 60%. They cost around $50. At minus 45, they're the difference between the heater running for 4 hours or 8 hours straight. They're the difference between waking up warm or waking up to a failing system. But here's what stops people cold when they learn the truth. Ask a driver who has spent a winter night in his cab at minus 45. Ask him if he'd trade it for a hotel room. Most of them will tell you no. They'll tell you they'd stay in the truck. And that answer doesn't make sense until you understand why. It's the silence. At minus 45, the world outside goes completely quiet. No traffic sounds. No voices in hallways. No doors slamming. No other people. Just the soft hum of a bunk heater doing its job. Drivers describe it as the deepest sleep they've ever experienced. It's the kind of silence that doesn't exist anywhere else. Not in any hotel on any highway. Not in any city. That silence is something money can't buy. The cab becomes a cocoon. The heater hums. The outside world is locked away. The driver sleeps like he hasn't slept in years. No interruptions. No noise. No chaos. Just warmth and silence and the knowledge that he made it through another night. The most extreme conditions don't always create the most miserable experiences. Sometimes they create the most profound ones. Sometimes they create memories that change how a person sees the world. So the next time you pass a truck parked in the middle of winter with dark windows and snow on its hood, understand what's really happening inside. That driver isn't suffering. He's not desperate. He's warm. He's prepared. And he's sleeping better than you probably are right now. But there's one more layer to this story. One final revelation that almost nobody sees coming. Something that will make you look at these trucks completely differently. And I'm saving that for the next video. Because what I'm about to tell you involves a technology so advanced that most people think it's science fiction. It's not. It's real. It's happening right now. And some Canadian truck drivers are already using it. Stay tuned.